Today is known as Spy Wednesday. We read about what happened on this day in Holy Week in Matthew 26, Mark 14, and Luke 22. Here a reading from Matthew 26, 6 through 16. Now when Jesus was at Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, a woman came up to him with an alabaster flask of very expensive ointment, and she poured it on his head as he reclined at the table. And when the disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this could have been sold for a large sum and given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done a beautiful thing to me. For you always have the poor with you, but you will not always have me. In pouring this ointment on my body, she has done it to prepare me for burial. Truly I say to you, wherever the gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her." Then one of the 12, whose name was Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What will you give me if I deliver him over to you?" And they paid him 30 pieces of silver. And from that moment, he sought an opportunity to betray him. This is how Russ Ramsey describes Spy Wednesday in his article, Easter Week in Real Time. The past several days have been a rush of tension and anger for Jesus' opponents, and of unflinching resolve for Jesus. Words have been his currency, and he spent piles of them. But on Wednesday before his death, Jesus is still. He's in the home of Simon the leper, a man known by what's wrong with him. During their meal together, Mary of Bethany, Lazarus' sister, comes to Jesus with an alabaster flask of perfume. She's been saving this perfume worth a year's wages for this exact occasion. She begins pouring it on Jesus' head and feet, which requires breaking open its container. Like popping the cork on a $20,000 bottle of champagne, this was a deliberate act. She's offering Jesus everything she has. By giving her most valuable possession to him, she is expressing her knowledge that what he's about to give of himself is for her. What Mary does is beautiful, and Jesus wants everyone to know it. She is preparing him for burial. There is honor and kindness in her gesture. Jesus returns the honor by saying, history will never forget her act of beauty, and we haven't. As we journey together through Holy Week, we look forward to Easter Sunday. As we look forward to Sunday, we also remember the joy of getting to proclaim the good news of the empty tomb with the whole world. That is why every Easter we take up a special offering to go straight to missions. 50% will go to support the work of the North American Mission Board in sharing the good news of Jesus through church planting in the US and Canada, and 50% will go to support the work of the International Mission Board in sending thousands of missionaries around the world to share the good news of Jesus. Check out this video to learn more about these ministries.
2020 was a time that you can't forget. It was in the midst of the pandemic, and then George Floyd died. And we're in the Twin Cities, so it was like right here. We were meeting at the park, and so we would do these services, preach the gospel and serve our neighbors and give a picture of hope and unity where the gospel tears down these walls that separate us. Because there is a true melting pot in the Twin Cities. You have all these different languages and people groups within just even 5-10 miles. And so we planted the church, and the church is called All People's Church. And all peoples doesn't mean just ethnically, but it means generationally, it means socially. That was the heart of it. And being in the Twin Cities, being such a melting pot, it felt to me like that would be one of the most powerful apologetics to the world. The hardest thing is probably how slow life transformation takes. And so when people give, they give us church planters something that we really need, and that's time. Because life change is slow, especially if you're trying to plant a church where no foundation is laid, as Paul says in the end of Romans. It's slow work. And yet there is no shortage of people who've joined our church, and they're growing in their faith for the first time. And that's what's been going on. Someone encounters Jesus, and then they go tell people, come and see. And so after doing that for a handful of years in the Twin Cities, the world can look and see and say, wow, Jesus is real. And I love that.
You can give online by going to christfellowshipga.org/give and clicking on the Easter offering, or you can give in person on Sunday. Thank you for reflecting with us on Spy Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.